Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling. Why haven't they been able to get onto platform 9 3/4? Can't be much further, can it? Croaked Ron, hours later still, as the sun started to sink into the roof of cloud, staring in a deep pink, ready for another check on the train. It was still right below them, winded its way past a snow-capped mountain. It was much darker beneath the canopy of clouds. Ron put his foot on the accelerator and drew them upwards again. But as he did so, the engine began to whine. Harry and Ron exchanged nervous glances. It's probably just tired, said Ron. It's never been this far before. As they both pretended not to notice, the whinging growled louder and louder as the sky became steadily darker. Stars was blossoming in the blackness. Harry pulled his jumper back on, trying to ignore the way the wincing whip wipers were now waving feebly, as though in protest. Not far, said Ron, more to the car than Harry. Not far now, and he patted the dashboard nervously. When they flew back beneath the clouds a little while later, they had to squint through the darkness for a landmark they knew. There! Harry shouted, making Ron and Hagrid jump. Straight ahead! Silhouetted on the dark horizon right on the cliff over the lake stood the many turrets and towers of Hogwarts Castle. But the car had begun to shudder and was losing speed. Come on, Ron said casually, giving the steering wheel a little shake. Nearly there, come on. The engine groaned. Narrow jets of steam were issuing from under the bonnet. Harry found himself driven at the edges of his seat very hard as they flew towards the lake. The car gave an nasty wobble. Glancing out of his window, Harry saw the smooth, black, grassy surface of the water. A mile below, Ron's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. The car wobbled again. Come on, Ron muttered. They were over the lake. The castle was right ahead. Ron put his foot down. There was a loud cronk, a splutter. The engine died completely. Oh, said Ron into the silence. The nose of the car dropped. They were falling, gathering speed, heading straight for the solid castle wall. No! Ron yelled, swinging the steering wheel around. They missed the dark stone wall by inches as the car turned in a great arc, soaring over the dark greenhouses when the vegetable patch and then out of the black lawns, losing high all the time. Ron let go of the steering wheel completely and pulled his wand out of his back pocket. Stop! Stop! He yelled, whacking the dashboard and the windscreen. But they were still plumpering, the ground flying up towards them. Mind that tree! Harry bellowed, clinging for the steering wheel, but too late. Crunch. With an ear-splitting bag of metal and wood, they hit the thick tree trunk and dropped to the ground with a heavy jolt. Steam was billowing from under the crumpet bonnet. Hedwig was shrieking in terror. Golf ball-sized lump was throbbing on Harry's head where he had hit the windscreen, and to his right, Ron let out a low, depressing groan. Are you okay? Harry said urgently. My wand, said Ron in a shaky voice. Look at my wand. It had snapped, almost in two. The tip was dangling limply, held on by a few splinters. Harry opened his mouth to say he was sure he'd be able to mend it up at the school, but never ever got started. At the very moment, something hit the side of the car with force of a charging ball, sending him lurching sideways into Ron, such an equally heavy blow hit the roof. What's happened? Ron gasped, staring through the windscreen, and Harry looked around just in time to see branches thick as python smash into it. The tree they had hit has attacking them. Its trunk was bent almost double, and its snarled boughs were clambering over each of the car it could reach. Ah! said Ron, as another twisted limb punched a large dent into the door. The windscreen was now trembling under a hair of blows from knuckle-like twigs, and a branch as thick as feathery ram was sprouting fiercely on the roof, which seemed to be craving aim. Run for it! Ron shouted, throwing his full weight against his door. But the next second he had been knocked backwards into Harry's lap by a vicious uppercut from another branch. Well done for! He moved as the ceiling sagged, but suddenly the floor of the car was vibrating. The engine had restarted. Reverse! Harry yelled, as the car shot backwards. The tree was still trying to hit them. They could hear its roots creaking as it almost ripped itself up. Lashing out at them, they spat out of reach. That, panted John, was close. Well done, car. The car, however, had reached the end of his tether. With two smart clunks, the door flew open and Harry felt his seat slip sideways. Next thing he knew, he was sprawled on the damp ground. A loud noise told him that the car, ejecting their luggage from the boot, Hedwig's cage flew through the air and burst open. She rose out of it with a loud angry screech and sped off towards the castle without a backwards look. Then, dented, stretched, and steaming, the car ramped off into the darkness, its rare lights blazing angrily. "Come back!" Ron yelled after it, dishing his broken wad. "Dad will kill me!" But the car disappeared from view with one last snort from its exhaust. "Can you believe our luck?" said Ron miserably, bending down to pick up Scabbers the Rat. "Of all 3 trees we could hit, we get to one that hits back." He glanced over his shoulder at the ancient tree, which was still failing its branches threateningly. "Come on," said Harry wearily. "We'd better get up to the school." It wasn't all the triumphant arrival they had pictured. Stiff, cold, and bruised, they seized the end of their trunks and began dragging them up the grassy slope towards the great oak front doors. "I think the feast's already started," said Ron, dropping his trunk at the foot of the throne steps and crossing quietly to look through a brightly lit window. "Hey, Harry, come and look! It's the sorting!" Harry hurried over, and together he and Ron peered in at the great hall. Innumerable candles were hovering in mid-air over 4 long, crowded tables, making the golden plates and goblets sparkle. Over at the bewitched ceiling, which almost mirrored the sky outside, sparkled with stars. Through the forest of pointed black Hogwarts hats, Harry saw a long line of scarlet-looking first-years filling into the hall. Gina was among them, early visible because of her vivid Weasley hair. Meanwhile, Professor McGonagall, investigated with her hair in a tight bun, was placing the famous Hogwarts sorting hat on a stool before the newcomers. Harry gave the age-old hat, patched, forever and dirty, sorting new students into the 4 Hogwarts houses: Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Slytherin. Harry well remembered putting it on, exactly 1 year ago, and waiting, petrified, for its decision as he muttered along in his ear. For a few horrible seconds he had feared that he was going to put him in Slytherin, the house which had turned out to be more dark witches and wizards than any other. But he had acted up with Gryffindor, along with Ron, Hermione, and the rest of the Weasleys. Last term, Harry and Ron had helped Gryffindor win the house championship, beating Slytherin for the first time in 7 years. A very small, mousy-haired boy had been called forward to place the hat on his hat. Harry's eyes wandered past to him to where Professor Dumbledore, the headmaster, sat watching the sorting from the staff table, his long silver bird and half-moon glasses shining brightly in the candlelight. Several seats along, Harry saw Gilderoy Lockhart dressed in robes of aquamarine. And there at the end was Hagrid, future Harry, drinking deeply from his goblet. "Hang on," Harry muttered to Ron. "There's an empty chair at the staff table. Where's Snape?" Professor Severus Snape was Harry's least favorite teacher. Harry also happened to be Snape's least favorite student. Cruel, sarcastic, and disliked by everybody, except the students from his own house, Slytherin. Snape taught potions. "Maybe he's ill," said Ron hopefully. "Maybe he left," said Harry, "because he missed out Defense of the Dark against the Dark Arts job again." "Or he might have been sacked," said Ron enthusiastically. "I mean, everyone hates him." "Well, maybe," said with a very cold voice right behind them, "he's waiting to hear why you two didn't arrive on the school train." Harry spun around. There, his black robes rippling in a cold breeze, stood Severus Snape. He was a thin man with a sallow skin and hooked nose, and grassy, shoulder-length black hair. And at this moment he was smiling in a way that told Harry he and Ron were in very deep trouble. "Follow me," said Snape. Not daring even to look at each other, Harry and Ron followed Snape up the steps into the west echoing entrance hall, which was lit with flaming torches. A delicious smell of food was waiting from the great hall, but Snape led them away from the worth and light, down a nervous stone staircase that led into the dungeons. "In!" he said, opened the door halfway down the cold passageway and